always thought we had the perfect love story. The kind you see in movies, the kind you tell your grandkids about. But some stories aren't meant to have a happy ending. Mine ended here, in this dimly lit room, with the glow of a phone screen revealing a truth I never wanted to see. The silence in this apartment is deafening now, but just a few months ago, it was filled with laughter. His laughter. It was the first thing I fell in love with. That deep, genuine sound that could make any bad day disappear. We were inseparable. We built our little world inside these four walls, filled with inside jokes, late-night talks, and dreams we promised to build together. He was my rock, my safe place. When I was with him, I felt like I could conquer anything. We'd spend hours just talking, planning our future, imagining the places we'd go. He made me feel seen, truly seen for the first time in my life. And then there was her, my best friend, my other half. We were two sides of the same coin. She was the one I'd call at 3 a.m, crying over something silly or celebrating a tiny victory. We shared everything: clothes, secrets, dreams. She knew him almost as well as I did because she was there from the beginning. She celebrated our anniversaries with us, listened to me gush about him for hours, and always told me how perfect we were for each other. She was my sister in every way that mattered. The three of us, we were a team. Or so I thought. The shift was subtle at first. A tiny crack in the foundation that I tried my best to ignore. It started with the late-night texts. His phone, which used to be an open book, suddenly became a fortress. He'd angle it away from me, a quick, almost imperceptible movement. When I'd ask who he was talking to, the answer was always the same. "Just work," he'd say, his voice flat. "It's nothing," but his eyes wouldn't meet mine. There was a new distance between us, a quiet tension that filled the spaces where our easy laughter used to be. The late-night talks became shorter. The goodnight kisses felt routine, obligatory. I felt a growing unease, a knot tightening in my stomach. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I was imagining things. I even talked to her about it. I remember sitting with her in our favorite coffee shop, the sun streaming through the window, and telling her my fears. She held my hand, looked me right in the eye, and told me I was overthinking. "He loves you more than anything," she'd said. "You know that. Don't let your insecurities ruin a good thing." She was so convincing, so reassuring. She was my best friend after all. She wouldn't lie to me. So I pushed my doubts down, blaming myself for being insecure. I tried harder, planned date nights, tried to bring back the magic we once had. But it was like trying to hold on to smoke. He was physically there, but his mind, his heart, was somewhere else entirely. The night it all shattered started like any other. He fell asleep early, his phone lying face down on the nightstand beside him, a habit that had become his new normal. For hours I just laid there, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. That little voice I had tried so hard to silence was screaming at me now. I couldn't ignore it any longer. My heart was pounding in my chest as I reached for his phone. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely type in the passcode, our anniversary, a date that now felt like a cruel joke. And there it was. A thread of messages that stretched back for months, my breath caught in my throat. The words on the screen blurred together through my tears. It wasn't just work. It was her, my best friend. Their messages were filled with the same inside jokes he and I used to share. Plans for secret meets. Words of affection that he hadn't said to me in ages. Every text was a knife, twisting deeper into my heart. I saw pictures they'd sent each other, clandestine moments stolen behind my back. The worst part wasn't just the betrayal from him, but the sheer depth of the deception from her. The person I trusted with my entire soul. The person who held my hand and told me I was crazy for even suspecting. The shock was a physical blow. I couldn't breathe. The world tilted on its axis, and everything I believed to be true crumbled into dust around me. In that moment, sitting in the dark, the only light coming from the screen displaying my personal nightmare, I felt a kind of pain I didn't know was possible. I was utterly and completely alone. The confrontation wasn't loud or dramatic. There was no screaming, no throwing things. Just a heavy, suffocating silence. I called her and told her to come over. When she arrived, he was already awake, sitting at the kitchen table. The look on their faces when they saw each other, when they saw me, said everything. I placed the phone on the table between them. The screen still lit up with their secrets. I didn't have to say a word. Her face crumpled first. The confident, supportive mask she always wore finally fell, revealing the guilt beneath. She couldn't even look at me. He just stared at the table, his jaw clenched. There were no excuses, no apologies that could fix this. The silence stretched on, thick with betrayal. I watched the two people I loved most in the world, the two people who were supposed to be my safe harbor, and I felt nothing but a profound, empty ache. They had chosen each other, and in doing so, they had erased me from my own story. I looked at him, the man I thought I would spend my life with, and I looked at her, the woman I considered my sister. And I realized they weren't the people I thought they were. Or maybe they were, and I was just too blind to see it. In that moment of complete heartbreak, something shifted inside me. I wasn't just a victim in their story. This was my story. The pain was immense, but it was also clarifying. It burned away all the illusions and left only the cold, hard truth. I stood up from the table. Their eyes flickered up at me, surprised. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I simply took a deep breath, turned around, and walked out the door, leaving them and our shattered little world behind. Walking away was the hardest and easiest thing I've ever done. Each step away from that apartment felt like I was reclaiming a piece of myself. It's funny. They took everything from me, but in the end, they gave me something back. Myself. The journey since that night hasn't been easy. There are days when the pain feels as fresh as it did in that dark room. But there's also a new feeling peace. A quiet strength I never knew I had. Walking through the city streets at night, I no longer feel alone. I feel free. I learned that sometimes the greatest love stories aren't about finding the perfect person, but about finding yourself when you're broken. Sometimes walking away is the only way to walk toward the person you're meant to be. This wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning. Thank you for listening.